So after the overwhelming and unprecedented box office and critical success of The Expendables 4, I thought now would be the best time to rank the 4 movies so far before all the inevitable sequels, spin-offs, and streaming series come out. Sorry, that was cruel. Hey everyone, I'm the guy with no name. Thanks for stopping by. If you don't know, basically I love to talk about movies, TV shows, video games, basically anything that I find interesting that I think you'll find interesting too. And like I said, for this video, I'm going to be ranking the 4 Expendables movies. Before we get into my list, I do want to let you know that this is based on my enjoyment of the films, not necessarily on how good or well made I think they were. Although, in this case, I really don't think the list would change at all if I were ranking it on enjoyment versus on how good of films I thought they actually were. Going from best to worst, number 1, The Expendables 2. After having seen all 4 installments of this franchise, to me, it's pretty obvious this was the peak. Not only did you have the returning cast of Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, Terry Crews, and Randy Couture, you also had bigger roles for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis. Chuck Norris and Liam Hemsworth are great additions as well, and Jean-Claude Van Damme works great as the villain. Sure, lots of the movie is cheesy and over the top, but it is all done in such a self-aware way, knowing when to take itself seriously and when not to. It really strikes the perfect balance. Also, I emphasize endings quite a bit in my reviews, and this one had an amazing third act. Number 2, The Expendables. You gotta give it credit, the idea is inspired. Take a bunch of, let's say, mostly older former action stars and put them all together to create a fun, shoot-'em-up popcorn movie. Sylvester Stallone and David Callahan wrote the screenplay, with Stallone himself directing it, and it includes the likes of Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Eric Roberts, Randy Couture, Steve Austin, Terry Crews, Mickey Rourke, and even small roles for Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I remember seeing this movie with my dad, uncle, and grandfather and not knowing what to expect. But by the end of it, I found myself hoping there'd be a sequel. 3, The Expendables 3. After the glory that was The Expendables 2, I was pretty excited when I heard they were going to do a third one. To its credit, the film doesn't seem to try to one-up or outdo the second. However, I still felt pretty underwhelmed in the end. Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, Randy Couture, and Terry Crews return, with brief appearances by Jet Li, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Mickey Rourke. Wesley Snipes and Antonio Banderas are welcome additions to the team, but the same cannot be said of the new youngsters of the group. None of them are very likable or interesting, and Ronda Rousey in particular really can't act, though her action scenes were unsurprisingly believable. Probably my favorite part of the movie was Mel Gibson as the villain. He really put a lot of effort into it and was a very charismatic but deadly antagonist. This movie wasn't bad per se, it just had a lot more flaws than the other two, and at the same time, wasn't as fun. Number 4, you guessed it, The Expendables 4. I really don't know why this movie was made. It's been 9 years since the third one came out, and most of the cast doesn't even return. Expendables 4 just came across as almost an afterthought, and it doesn't justify its own existence. Sylvester Stallone is a tiny part of the movie, with the focus being on Jason Statham's character. To his credit, Statham seemed to try his best in a film franchise that is just falling apart around him. Dolph Lundgren and Danny Couture return, but you can really feel the vacuum left by the absence of everyone else. The new additions of Andy Garcia, Megan Fox, and 50 Cent really don't do much for me. Speaking of Fox, it's funny how Ronda Rousey was terrible at acting, but pretty great at action, while Megan Fox does better in the acting department, but worse in the action scenes. Jacob Scipio, who plays the son of Antonio Banderas' character, is pretty good though, and the villains, while super uninteresting, do give us some great hand-to-hand combat. In the end, the story and CGI is pretty crappy. It has the worst action of the franchise, though some of it was good, And even though Statham tried to carry the film on his back, that was a Herculean task I don't think anyone could have pulled off. So that's my ranking of the Expendables franchise. Let me know what your rankings are in the comments. I'd love to see if there are any similarities or differences, and also let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the points that I made. If you've made it this far and want to see more content like this in the future, please like and subscribe to my channel. Or don't. I don't care. Honestly though, if you like ranking videos, I have done one ranking all 15 of the DCU movies. And if you're a Star Wars fan, I have all reviews of the first 7 episodes of the Disney Plus series Ahsoka. I will have a review for episode 8 up next week when it comes out. And really guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Your support is very humbling and it means more than you know. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. This is Guy with No Name, signing off.